So I know you hold a lot of things in your hands, Mike. They're big monster hands. You can hold a lot of things in them. But if you had to pick a gaming console that you wanted to hold in your hand, handheld gaming console, what would that gaming console be?
32X.
Of course, you're if nothing if not consistent. So that's good. Mine would be Virtual Boy. So, but would be a close second is Nintendo 64. And there's rumblings out there that Hyperkin is looking into the possibility, not an announcement yet, they're toying with it and I guess testing the waters for a handheld Nintendo 64 where you would actually insert the cartridges into the device. Your thoughts?
So, I mean, I guess this is a skip it, buy it kind of a situation. So I'm just going to lead right in with it's a skip it for me, a real hard skip it. I don't hate Hyperkin. I know there's people that have mixed feelings about them. Essentially, they make, for the most part, what they're known for is the Retron consoles that take multiple types of cartridges, but they're emulators. They dump the ROM from the cartridge and play it that way. So we already know that emulation's not awesome for a Nintendo 64. So that right off the bat is problematic with this. And it's also probably why they're saying we're not going to see this for a couple more years because they're hoping that the emulation, and while it has come a long way, it's still not perfect. And they're hoping it'll be further along at that point. Um, we have an FPGA from Analog, and now there's one that's coming from Mod Retro that's even more affordable from the one from Analog. So I can't imagine this is going to be cheap, but if for a small amount more you can get an FPGA console that's actually going to run all the games properly, I'm going to choose that every time over something like this. It's cool, like the idea of playing them handheld, but then it starts to get a little bit unwieldy. I mean, the cartridges aren't small. This isn't like a Game Boy. And then you have the form factor. The Trident, I would assume, isn't going to carry over well to a handheld console. So you're looking at changing the form factor of the controls. And while I actually like the warrior style controls a little bit better than the Trident, I could see where some people aren't going to like that. Then you throw in its emulation, so it's not going to be 100%. There's also a lot of things like there are some games, even with the Retron, most people think that emulation is 100% perfect on a lot of older games, but there is a few games that don't work on there. Some games that had just kind of weird stuff going on, like virtual racing is one that always comes to mind. That doesn't work for emulation really well. Um, Sonic and Knuckles, the add-on cartridge that allowed you to, it was like an expansion cartridge that doesn't work because it doesn't know how to do the pass through between the cartridges and things like that. So if they're still not 100% on a couple generations before this, I can't imagine even in another year or so this is going to be perfect.
Yeah, form factors. I mean, so I'm a skip it as well. One just because you're just rolling. I have a pretty bad taste in my mouth for Nintendo 64 emulation. Period. It's just super hard to pull off. A lot of games that you are under the impression are going to work great, and pretty quick on you find there's a control issue, there's some clipping, there's different stuff that goes on, and it's just not enjoyable. And if you're gonna enjoy Nintendo 64, you might as well enjoy it on. You got some new options you were talking about. The FPGA options that are out there now, and that would be the way to go. But that shoots up the price in and of itself. Now the super crazy game system, the thing that went over with eight different names that I bought at a massive garage sale for $1. We talked about on the show. It'll be linked here for you at the end of this video. That played NES games, and so there was a controller that looked like a Nintendo 64 Trident controller with an NES slot in it, which those were not small cartridges either. So I kind of think, but I don't know. It seems like the Nintendo ones were 64 ones were heavier, bulkier. I don't, even though they didn't have maybe the width. I don't know. I don't think they did. So I mean, I think they could do it, but I think it would be very similar to what looks like the form factor on the super crazy doesn't work well game system that I got. In that it would be very difficult to play because I think even when you put the battery pack in there, it's kind of an issue. So uh, I I don't think it'd be hard to pull off. And if you're not going to do FPGA, then I'm not sure why. And as we've talked about before with Nintendo 64, its best use is multiplayer. That's where you get the invention. And where's the fun in having a handheld to do that? Because they're not going to have, you know, uh, streaming to nearby other Nintendo 64 handhelds for you guys to all play. So I think it's kind of, I mean, it's an interesting idea, but uh, it's, I wouldn't try and do it for anything that you can't really have rock solid emulation for. And that's not Nintendo 64. So, but you folks can, shortly after subscribing to the Bog Panda YouTube channel and hitting that bell so that you know when new stuff comes out, let us know in the comments whether actually this is the thing you've been waiting for and why. Are we missing something here? Of all the kind of options out there, as much as we're big Nintendo 64 fans, this one's kind of a non-starter for me. So we'd like to hear it, and Mike. So it'd be nice to hear from you what your thoughts are. So, do that subscription. You'll be able to listen to Hard No, the world's shortest podcast, an episode delivered every day, as long as Kelly stays on schedule. Usually happens. We've got merchandise, and we have. We're going to have a show coming up here in the not too distant future about unlicensed software. Do you consider the content of Bog Panda Vision unlicensed or not?
I mean, I guess it is unlicensed. Yeah. I think that there's a little bit of a difference though, just because we're doing the homebrew thing. Like this is sort of aftermarket, which I guess is a little different, but technically it's unlicensed.
Freely distributable ROMs that are available for you on Bog Panda Vision. Link in the description. You can check it out, including Slapdash and its many variants, which is actually unlicensed software in terms of the use of its main character, where there has not been the appropriate legal approval for the use of the main character of Slapdash.
I don't
So,
know what Kelly's talking about because the Kelly tool of the game is my intellectual property that I created.
um, sure it is. um, there's also some Doom 2 levels out there. There are 7 so far. Eighth one's a work in progress. Been run into a couple challenges here, but we'll keep plugging away. And I think I mentioned merchandise. So anything else before we wrap this one up, Mike?
No, I just want to stress again that I have no problem with Hyperkin. I like their products. I know not everybody is a fan, but the Retron is a really good console. It doesn't play everything and it's not perfect, but it'll get you playing most cartridges for the classic consoles at a reasonable price. So that's a good thing in my book.
Yep, and a much more manageable footprint than having the
Yes.
multiple consoles. Good thing. Cool. Well, thanks for watching, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Bog Panda.